Novak Djokovic vomits his way to victory in 3 sets versus Munar. He's into yet another Masters quarter-final. On the women's side, Iga is tearing it up. Sabalenka yet to play. Raducanu already out. We'll speak about that too. And all of the other tennis which is happening in China.
That's right, we're into the quarterfinals on the bottom side of the draw on the men's over in Shanghai. And Novak Djokovic, he's doing it again. A 97th Masters 1000 quarterfinal. This is peak Djokovic for effort. I wouldn't say it's peak Djokovic for performance, but I think you cannot fault his effort in this tournament. He is pushing his body to the absolute limit in some of the, harshest conditions I think you can give to tennis players on a tennis court. The humidity, the heat, and like you were saying in the intro there, the vomiting. And it has continued. He's been cleaning it up on the court himself this time, which he's just a very, very nice guy. He doesn't want to allow anybody else in there. He did it himself, and Munar luckily allowed him to clean it up. I'll show you what was going on. Here you go. He said, "Sorry to hold you up, man. I've got to clean up my own bath." And Munar said, no problem, amigo. Take your time." There he is.
I mean, I don't know if this is an official quote, but because I didn't see this live, but I would like to believe it was. Maybe it was. People can verify it in the comments section. But one thing we do know is Djokovic is winning matches again. And the other thing is no Alcaraz and no Sinner. Alcaraz, of course, dropping out before the tournament began. Yannick Sinner losing to Greek Sport. I know you spoke about it. I've not given my reaction. Seemed like physically he couldn't handle the conditions. Obviously, it's very humid out there in China. Wasn't feeling great. Problems with his heart. We'll find out to see whether that means he's going to miss any more events coming up. I suspect he's going to be okay. And it just goes to show how tough the conditions are, because he's not the only player who's struggling. Djokovic, he's throwing up pretty much every match, both matches so far. But he doesn't have to beat Yannick Sinner or Carlos Alcaraz to win a Masters title. Doesn't have to beat Zverev as well, because he went out. But let's just focus on Djokovic for now. I agree with what you're saying. His performance level is nowhere near the level of Novak Djokovic, but it is enough. And this highlights really the disparity on tour, because you've got the best two players in the world. Then you've got Novak Djokovic, Taylor Fritz as well. He's knocking on the door, de Minaur, but still Djokovic, he kills Taylor Fritz. He kills de Minaur whenever he plays them. He is the third best player in the world. And despite his age, despite him not playing nowhere near the level we know he can perform at, it's still better than 99% of the tour. And that's what he's doing and showing. Whenever he does play, he handpicks his tournaments, plays the big ones, plays mainly just Grand Slams. We're seeing him here at a Masters event, but just can beat everyone. And now without them two in it, he is the favourite for this event. But will he win Shanghai, Ben?
Well, he has a very, very good opportunity. You can see who he's beaten already so far in the tournament, which is Marin Cilic. He's just beaten Yannick Hanfmann, which is a really good version of Hanfmann. He actually turned up, played exceptionally well. And I think this Juan Munar is a Munar this year who is better than we've seen in previous years as well. Hanfmann, no. This tournament, though, very, very good. He did play very well. I'm super excited for Djokovic as well, because he's ticking off more records as well. And it's always nice when he takes the record of a Mr. Federer. There you go. Djokovic, the oldest ever player to reach a Masters 1000 quarterfinal. And he's beaten Federer's record. And he's 38 years, 4 months in Shanghai 2025. And that beat Federer's one of 38 years, 2 months in Shanghai in 2019. So it seems like Shanghai is where you go to break that record. Will Djokovic be able to add to it next year? Possibly. I mean, he's been in the final last year. He's in the quarterfinals already this year. He's playing Zizou Bergs next, which you'd say another winnable one, but another player who is playing very well. And he knocked out Diallo. It was very close. It was 3 sets. Every single match earlier today was 3 sets, which should be noted. The level of competition, very high. But some strange players going through as well. Zizou Bergs, Vachereau from Monaco going through as well. Didn't expect to see that name on the list. Definitely wasn't on my bingo card. That one, he only normally turns up at in Monaco. That's when he gets a wild card, and then he normally has a couple of good matches there, and then you don't see him again for the rest of the year. But looks like he's actually gone and beaten Griekspoor, who gave Sinner the run around. So
But that's standard, Ben. Like, how many times over the years do you see someone, if they're to beat Federer, Nadal, or Djokovic, and they lose the next round? Happens time and time again. So it doesn't surprise me. It does surprise me it was maybe Vachereau because, like you say, doesn't do anything really. I mean, even at Monte Carlo, he takes the odd set here and there, but usually ends up losing. But credit to him, he rose to the occasion in a very, very big event with a lot of very big players who aren't there now. Back to the question of Novak Djokovic, I secretly think, that he could take this whole tournament.
It's not going to be easy, as you can see. Each match is so demanding on his body, and I think the next match will be. I think it might be slightly easier, to be honest. Just because I think Bergs has been through the wars with Diallo in a really long match. I think that Djokovic will probably know how to play against him maybe a little bit better. Munar is just such a workhorse around the court. He's a nightmare player in these conditions for sure. But Djokovic was just able to get the early break in the third and then just see it out. Rune's still in this tournament as well, and he's down that bottom section. It could be a potential semi-final matchup. Holger Rune, Novak Djokovic. We know we've seen them at Masters events before, and Rune always gives him a good match when they come up against each other in the latter stages. He's got to play Vachereau, though. Who knows? If we get Vachereau Djokovic semi-final, is Vachereau going to be a big problem and a thorn in the side?
I think he'll be all right against Vachereau. The big challenges come from Lorenzo Musetti, who's having a fantastic year, Alex de Minaur, Felix, who I like at this time. Yeah, at the top. The top of the draw is pretty stacked. You've got Daniel Medvedev, who's going to be facing off with one of his nemesises in, Tien. They've played now a few times. I think Medvedev can win this one, though. What do you think?
I was thinking that he was probably going to win the last one when I was watching it, but
I think he'll get revenge.
I'm going to be going for the main thing, which we know what happens on tour now. If you beat them 3-0 in the head-to-head, he becomes the daddy. I think Lerner Tien becomes Medvedev's daddy in this match, and Lerner Tien, the run continues. And if he gets through Daniel Medvedev, it could be Alex de Minaur. I mean, obviously, don't count out Nuno Borges, but Alex de Minaur, we're talking about Djokovic being the best of the rest, similar to a Taylor Fritz. I think below Djokovic, it's like Fritz de Minaur are sort of in the similar bracket. Maybe Fritz just slightly higher than de Minaur. But yeah, de Minaur, he'd be looking at this draw right now thinking, I could go on and win this thing as well. It's definitely within his grasp, especially now Zverev's gone out as well. The moaning Zverev, the courts are all the same speed. It's too slow. Well, look at that. Just got knocked out by not Alcaraz, not Sinner, not Djokovic, not anybody of note, let's say. No disrespect. It's Radacanu.
He's a good player.
He's having a good year. Player. I like him as a person because I think he's actually a fantastic personality.
Who did he beat at the US Open?
I'm going to have to have a look.
And at Wimbledon as well. He was really good. Beat some good names.
He's had a great year. He's been a fantastic player on the tour this year. I'm not even sure he's inside the top 50, so he may crack the top 50. He beat the US Open. He obviously lost to Alcaraz.
That wasn't the US Open then, was it? Who did he beat? He beat someone really good.
Beat Fokina at the US Open.
He beat definitely Daniel Medvedev. I think that was
let me go Wimbledon. Down. At Wimbledon, it was he beat Zverev. Yeah, there you go. Of course, that was. So there you go. Twice he's beaten Zverev this year. Should have really remembered that one.
Did he beat Medvedev as well? I feel like maybe.
Not sure. I think that was the staple victory. It was against Zverev, the 5-set win, and then he beat Garin in 5 sets after that, and then went out.
He beat Casper Ruud. That was the other one I was thinking of at Cincinnati.
Okay. Yeah, big win that as well.
Yeah,
Casper Ruud. He's not been too bad of late.
No.
But yeah, he's had some big wins. Fokina's not an easy player to beat
True.
either these days either. But and he's been playing some fantastic tennis. Unfortunately, he went out of the tournament to, I believe it was Daniel Medvedev, who's
Yeah.
still back to a little bit of form now. Daniel, I quite like the fact we're seeing him play some better tennis and hard courts. And something that you always say, if Daniel Medvedev's hair is stuck to his forehead, then we know that the real Daniel Medvedev's back. And that's what it sort of looked like in the last tournament in Beijing. And it's sort of back again. If you look at his top, it's like stuck to him. It's like a wetsuit when he's going around that court. But this is the real Daniel. He's just looks all a bit like bleh. His whole everything looks a bit everywhere. But that's when he plays his best.
But his best isn't good enough anymore. Daniel's best is not good enough to compete with the very best in the world. The thing you'd have to say though is it's still, I think, good enough to maybe beat a Novak Djokovic right now, performance level wise, and it is good enough to beat Zverev because we saw that not too long ago as well. What was it in the last tournament?
Yep.
So if he can get through TN, who, by the way, I'm going to have to concede because I do think you'll now beat me with the TN versus Fonseca battle because Fonseca's opted not to play any tournaments.
Well, he's playing some coming up, but yeah,
But he's not Masters events, is he? He's thrown it away.
Paris.
I don't know what he's doing.
Well, he's going for the 500s, I think, going to Vienna and those type of places.
Well, he's gonna have to win them because TN's picking up so many points. I don't know where he is in the live rankings, but is he knocking on the door for top 30? He must be.
Yeah, I think coming into this tournament, he was 30.
It wouldn't surprise me if he's in the top 30 now for
He's
the live.
37 in the live rankings. If he beats Daniel
32, it says.
Oh, is this for the race?
Oh, that's the race. Sorry.
Yeah.
The live rankings, he's
37 in the lives.
yeah.
But if he beats Daniel Medvedev again, then he will move up to 34, overtake Diallo.
I mean, what a pick that was from you.
Well,
I generally need now Fonseca to do very well in the next event he plays. Like, he needs to get to the final or win it.
For sure. Yeah, I think Fonseca, I know that Pavi G's been having a bit of a word on Twitter. He's going after the elites that promote the tennis players and saying, how come Fonseca gets all this hype, but Lerner TN doesn't get any hype whatsoever? And I'm sort of with him on this one. I don't agree with Pavi G very often, but I think it's right. Come on, give this kid a bit of a...
Well, you did.
A bit of a boost. Yeah, well, we want to see his name in lights a bit more. Get some of the crowds, but obviously it's the crowds that flock to watch him, and the Brazilian fans are so passionate. If the American fans were a little bit more passionate, they've just got so much to choose from that it's difficult when you get a player coming through to go like, oh look, I'm going to throw all my eggs in that basket. They threw all their eggs in Fonseca's basket in Brazil because they didn't really have much else to go with, so it's exciting for him. Obviously, like Iala in the Philippines as well. We see how good America are with their tennis players. Look at Taylor Fritz, top of the game at the moment. We've got so many good players. Ben Shelton. On the women's side, I think that in the last tournament, 3 out of the last 4 of the semi-finalists were all American. They're killing it at the moment in America. So Lerner Tien hopefully just adds himself to that illustrious names that we've just spoken about. What do you reckon on Zverev? Because I know he's saying about Daniel Medvedev struggling. He's able to beat Zverev. What do you think that's going on with Zverev with this whole moaning about that? Oh, we're trying to make the sinner Alcaraz for every tournament. Do you believe that that's what they're trying to do? Do you think he's just a moaning mini?
Yeah, I think he's moaning. I don't think, of course, they're not trying to do that. They're the best 2 players. Play them on concrete and they'll still beat most players. When you're that level of elite, I don't think the surface has too much of an issue. Look at them on the clay courts. Look at them at Wimbledon. Look at them on all the different surfaces. They're just top tennis players. Zverev's problems himself, and it will only ever be himself. Mentality-wise, he just doesn't have it. I'm sorry, at the top. Technically, he is an extremely talented tennis player. I think his backhand is still one of the best on the tour right now. And he's got a lot of shots, great touch, good serve at times. But ultimately, if you don't have it in your head, you can't win big events. And he crumbles every time when the pressure gets too much. for the big titles, for Grand Slams. You see him go within himself, play passive, and look like a second-tier athlete in their moment. So until he can sort that out, then he can blame whatever he wants. He's not going to win anything.
Yeah, like Gil Gross is saying here as well. He says
Anything
certainly.
big.
Yeah, well, he's been to slam finals.
He wins the smaller stuff, but not the big stuff.
Well, the big question is, like I said on the podcast the other day, they'd noted the speed of the Paris courts, which is obviously indoor hard court. It's one of the fastest.
Yeah.
If that one is notably slower, is there room for the conspiracy? Because this one is normally in Shanghai is normally, I think, 44 CPI. This year is 32, so it's notably slower than it is. And some people think it's maybe they've just messed it up, and it's not supposed to be that slow. So we'll see next year if it's actually happened. But we'll find out in Paris if that one's down to into the 30s. We know something weird might actually be going on, but like Gilgrove says here, that it's true that slower conditions reduce variance and therefore help protect top players versus upset bids. But that hasn't stopped Alcaraz and Sinner from dominating in the quickest conditions. Of the 14 big events last year, 7 had ace rates greater than 10.5% and all Sincaraz titles. So this is more speaking about like Zverev's complaints, but 15
Well, it dispels the myth, doesn't it?
yeah, 15 players outside Sincaraz have beaten Zverev in 2025. 19 losses in total. 4 of them have done it twice. Radacanu, Medvedev, Fritz, Cerundolo, and then you've got there Djokovic, Felix, Musetti, De Minaur, Berrettini, Khachanov, Griekspoor, Fies, Komosana, Muller, Tien. So all of these players, what is he trying to get at? Like, you wouldn't lose 19 times because of this, surely. It's just
Ben, he's just moaning. It's not like I think you're giving this far too much time. Like I can't believe how much time you're giving it because
well,
I'm not even that angry about it because I feel like it's natural. Like when you lose, you moan. If things aren't going quite your way, you make excuses. It's human nature, and he is one of the biggest moaners and excuse makers in the sport. And I think everyone can be a bit like that, yourself included. So can I at times. If things don't quite go our way, we often try to find a reason or an excuse. I think that's human nature. He's just someone who does it more than most.
yeah, somebody who's not finding any excuses at the moment. If we move over to the women's, is Amanda Anisimova, who we need to mention because she did win a massive title in Beijing. She won the whole thing and she did it in impressive fashion. And somebody who didn't get down in the dumps. She's lost 2 slam finals this year. You quite easily could go away and hide in a cupboard somewhere and cry yourself to sleep. She hasn't done that. She's come back and she's looks like the best player on tour nearly. Like maybe there's a couple of players who might be able to beat her, but she's there or thereabouts in the back end of all these tournaments. And it's fantastic that she's now continuing that run. Well done to her. I'd love to see her with a smile on her face rather than the tears that we've seen on the tennis court in those slam finals. But I think that she could be a real contender at all of the slams. If she continues with this type of form into next year, she's a threat.
If she can continue, because she's showed this potential for many years, despite her only being 24 years of age, which you need a reminder for because she seems like she's been around for some time. Obviously broke onto the tour while she was quite young. A lot of promise. I know we even in the early days of this podcast, however many years ago it was, we thought she was going to win Grand Slams and win big things. It didn't quite materialize like that. She took a break from tennis, maybe some injuries as well. But here she is in 2025 as statistically the 3rd best player in the world. She's 3rd in the race behind Sabalenka and Iga. Already qualified for the WTA finals. And probably the most improved player from last year, the biggest surprise from last year. She wins quite a few awards. And in terms of consistency, she's right up there as well because she's consistently done it from the start of the year to now. And who's to say she can't even go one step further and win some more big events? She's just done it. And I would not write her off of any of these events because I think she's a very, very good player who's feeling in a lot of good. She's in a lot of form and feels very confident in her ability. A bit like when Bublik was hitting that purple patch. I think when you really start trusting your game and how what you can do with a tennis racket, then everything else sort of falls into place. So much of it is mental and believing in yourself, and she certainly has the belief now.
Yeah, she definitely does. I think it's like swapping around a little bit on the women's tour with some of the belief, because we did have Coco Gauff, who looked like she had all the belief, and now it looks like she's passed the baton on to Amanda Anisimova. You can see them there, third and fourth. This is in the live rankings at the moment. But I just think it's credit to her that she's sitting there. Obviously, Jess Pegula is now down to sixth. Madison Keys, more Americans there. One I didn't mention earlier, Madison Keys. She's in seventh, obviously won first Grand Slam of the year. And this is, I thought this was quite a funny tweet. It says, you only need to win 250s to be ranked world number 4 in the ATP rankings. Meanwhile, Anisimova had to win 2 WTA 1000s and make 2 Slam finals to get to number 4. So it's a little bit of a diss maybe there on Taylor Fritz, but I think that's just the state of the game. There's 2 players dominating and are miles above everybody else on the men's, whereas on the women's, it's a lot closer. You can see, like, obviously Sabalenka is quite clear at the top there, but yeah, all the rest are really, really fighting it out. And who knows? And Nisimova, could she go one step closer? Could she get into third? I'm not sure. I mean, Coco Gauff, she had a good back end to the year last year, but doesn't look quite in the same form that she did last year.
I think she can, but it all obviously does depend how Coco gets on in Wuhan, because she's got some points she can potentially make up. Anisimova not playing. I think the big could come down to the WTA finals, and my prediction early doors, I think Amanda Anisimova is going to win it.
Wow.
Because in the WTA finals, it's not always the number 1 player who wins that, is it? I feel like we'll see some surprises. And I think, I don't know, I have a feeling that Anisimova will win the WTA finals this year.
Well, that would be impressive if she... What an end to the
It's
year
my early prediction anyway.
For me, I think the winner could be coming from somebody else who's in very, very dominant fashion at the moment, and that is Iga Swiatek. She's sort of continuing where she left off. She seems to start the tournaments like a wrecking ball at the minute, and double breadstick in her first match. And look at this from Iga, remains undefeated in WTA 1000 matches after winning the first set. That's
She's still got that, has she?
107-0 after winning the first set. It is vital to win that first set against Iga. Otherwise, you have no hope. Yeah, she is looking brilliant. I think that she could potentially win it this year, but we haven't seen Saba. And if Saba comes back and she looks fantastic again, then she'll be the favourite probably going into it as well. Somebody who I think we can all agree probably won't be the favourite, and it's a little bit sad, is Mila Andreeva at the moment, because the form's gone. I'm not going to be hard on her at all. I know there's a lot of people saying, can't leave her alone. We've got to mention it because she did have such a fantastic start to the year. The end of the year is just, it's a bit of a damp end to the year, really. She's been losing early rounds, lost to Siegmund here. Yeah, and she's crying a lot, a bit on court. I think just young, just inexperienced, and just hard to finish out the year when you had such a busy schedule, but she'll get better.
She's 18 years old, Ben.
Exactly.
She's 18 years old, and it has happened a lot with her crying during matches. No one wants to see that.
No.
But I think it is just down to her maturity and experience. Maybe a little bit overwhelming at 18 years old. I can't imagine doing anything of the sort at that age, and I'm sure most people listening couldn't either. So I think you've got to give her the benefit of time and wait to see what happens. There's no doubt, and she's a fantastic tennis player who's had a really good year last year as well. She's getting better and better, and this would be a good learning lesson for her. But despite that, I don't think it's still good for her to be putting all of this amount of pressure. And I think when it does come to the level when she's expressing these emotions on the court so visibly as she is, then maybe she should be taking some time away. And if anyone needs a break, I think it's her, because it will make her better. She'll come back with a fresher outlook, recharged energy, batteries, and that's where she needs to go from this position, because she still had a good year despite this. But no one wants to keep seeing her crying on the court. It's horrible to see.
Yeah, I
It makes you
agree.
feel bad.
This is to put it into perspective and try and champion her a little bit. This is every teenager on the tour, and you can see there she's 18, so she's the second youngest, and you can see there Iga Jovic is only the only girl who's younger than her. But look, she's number 5 in the world at 18 years old. You got Mboko there, 24 in the world and 6 months older. Even some of these other players, look, they got 18s, 19s. They're outside the top 100. She's number 5 in the world. I think you've got to put this into perspective. What a breakout year this really is for her. Winning those Masters events is massive. So you can't ever take that away from her. And I think next year she'll build on this, because it's been a good year. No matter what happens this year, I think it's still been a very good year for Milan Andreeva.
Yeah, and I'm just looking there. Polina Kudermetova, she's
look
also
at that.
slipped below Iga Jovic. So
Oh,
both my men and women are not going very well at the moment.
where is Polina
She's
Kudermetova?
67 in the world on the
Oh.
race, anyway. I'm not sure in the world. I was looking at the other one.
74. Don't worry, she's down there. I can see her down there
Where's your
somewhere.
girl?
Oh, she's 38th in the world at the moment. She's getting a few extra points here in Wuhan. I'm not sure if your
She's out, isn't she?
No, she hasn't played yet. She lost in the qualification, but I think she's come back in as a lucky loser or something.
That's what I'm saying. It's just not fair. You keep getting all this luck.
Well,
You keep getting lucky losers. My girl has to play the qualifiers every week.
Well,
You pick some Raducanu style player who just gets straight in.
Well, she has to play a few matches. Like, she's a young talent. People have seen she just won a WTA event, 500 event.
No, she's American and she just gets special treatment into events.
With Serbian parents as well, should be noted. But yeah, those are our wild cards for the year. And on the men's side, you've heard earlier, it is Lerner Tien and João Fonseca. The race is still on, though. It's not over
It's quite
yet.
tight. It's going to hopefully go down to the end, but I feel like I'm going to concede the men's one early.
I
don't think
the women's one now as well. I would say the men's one, there's more chance than the women's, to be honest.
Probably, yeah. There's quite a few points.
Yeah, the women's, she's got to make up 400 points in these next few
Could just
tournaments.
win something.
What's the likelihood of that right now? She's not not gone deep since that first week of the year, I don't think, when she was number 1 in the race for the
She had 800 points then, I think, first week.
Exactly. She was nearly beat Sabalenka in the first tournament of the year. It was crazy start to the year. I don't know how you managed to pick that at the time. I was thinking, oh no, I've had a nightmare here. But yeah, my one's come through good at the end.
Should have picked Iala. Iala was the one.
Iala would have been a fantastic pick as well. Yeah, but my one's higher than Iala at the moment. So Jovic over Iala.
Oh, you've done it.
Maybe we'll see. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, I hope Iala can go even higher in the rankings. But yeah, I think we're going to wrap it up there. Or do you want to go through any more results?
No, just touch on Raducanu, her loss.
Yes.
I mean, yet again, really difficult conditions. I think it's a little bit disappointing that she wasn't able to finish the match. I know she was having, what was she having? Was it a blood test or something?
She had like blood pressure being taken on the court, I believe.
Yeah, blood pressure. Not great scenes, but at the end of the day, it was just the heat. It was too hot for her, and she couldn't deal with the conditions, just like a lot of the other players. So I'm not going to be too harsh on her. But yeah, she can't really cut it at that top level when the conditions are really tough. she's not got that Djokovic willpower and the mentality to just throw up on the court and keep going. She's someone, if it gets too tough, she just pulls out. Gets her appearance fee, turns up. Yeah, it's a bit tough for me. Yeah, I'm gonna pull out.
That is a thing, though, isn't it? Just to
She
put
could have finished that match.
into perspective, obviously certain players do feel faint. Like we've seen it in the past as well.
Just for the record, Ben, sorry before you say that, I'm not holding everyone to the standards of Novak Djokovic.
Yeah,
he is an exception to the rule, but there's still a lot of other players on tour, men and women, who push themselves a lot more than, say, Raducanu. It seems like any kind of adversity, anything that doesn't quite go the way she wants it, weather-wise, conditions, crowd, etc., she just throws the towel in.
Yeah, not everyone can be as mentally strong, I think, and put that, because I think that the one thing that a lot of these top players have is their mental will push the body further than it's actually willing to go, and that's what you're seeing from players like Djokovic. It's not normal, really, to be just throwing up on a tennis court because you only get to that state when you push your body so hard that it's like a reactionary thing that your body's saying, "What are you doing to me? I don't want to run anymore. I don't want to push any harder." And Djokovic's mind is like, "We're going to win this match. I don't care how many times you're going to be sick." And he doesn't care because he just came through that match yet again.
Yeah.
Another plus 2 hour match, and the mind is stronger than the body, it seems.
What's your thoughts on Raducanu then?
My thoughts are quite similar, really. I just think that in that type of scenario, we've seen her find a way out. I think she was 6-1, 4-1 down. If you're feeling faint or you're feeling like not your best, she didn't look like she was at the races in this match at all anyway. I think Annalie's been better this year and looked good, but Raducanu should really be beating someone like an Annalie. She quite clearly struggled with the conditions much more than other people. And yeah, hopefully when we see her back somewhere where she actually can give a better account of herself. But we know she's better than that. I just don't want to see any more retirements really from her. I don't like the way they keep stacking up on the record because it just doesn't make for very good reading, and it gives people the opportunity to build a tweet that includes all of the retirements, which you keep adding another one onto it. So stop giving them the opportunity. Just take a double breadstick. It's not that bad. Ask her lots of Iga's victims.
Yeah, the good news for her, she's back inside the top 30 and will be a seed pretty much for the Australian Open next year. But let's wrap it up there. If you haven't already, please hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and let us know. Do you think Novak Djokovic can win this event? Who do you fancy on the women's side? I do think it's quite open, but yet we've not seen Sabalenka play, who would be the bookies' favourite. But so much tennis to be played there. We'll speak about that later on in the week. In the men's, we're a bit further along, and the top side, the top half is very stacked. A lot of big names. From the bottom, I can't see anyone but Djokovic in the final.
That's it. Right. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We'll see you on the next one.